So there are people all around the country that are trying to liberate their state. They're trying to liberate the state. Donald Trump, of course, gave his take on it yesterday. He is trying to liberate Virginia, Michigan, many other places. Even in liberal California, we got people, folks. We got people who are trying to liberate themselves, folks. Trying to rise up, brothers. When, Black Lives Matter, for example, takes it to the street to ask not to get shot and killed and to demilitarize our police force, for example. And what the are they doing? God damn it, stop it. Cops need to be able to kill you. But, ask American hogs to sit indoors for a month and then ask them to ask the government to give them enough money. Well, that sounds like communism to me, brother. That sounds like real tyranny. Americans can't even do the one thing we are known for, okay? This is the easiest thing not to up. Sit the fuck down, stay the indoors, and consume. This is literally what we are known around the world for. And we are still it up. Today, a fully dressed Navy Master Chief stood in the ocean after the town in Emerald Isle, North Carolina, ordered the beaches closed. 3 hours later, the town reopened the beaches to the public. Thank you for your service, Master Chief. At this point, there is nothing you can do. Just make fun of them, okay? Make fun of them often. Just enjoy the ride. Buckle up and just enjoy the ride. We are the dumbest nation on the planet. Now, there is also another part to this. The Liberate protesters are backed by shady lobbying orgs, probably financed by billionaires that rely on labor. It's a lot more sinister than you might think. We are going to get to that element as well. I am talking about the dupes. I am talking about the people who go into this on their own volition. And the reason why I'm trying to, have fun with this is because there's no reasoning with them. How do you get into this guy's mind? Like, what do I tell this guy? How do you talk to a guy who goes out to protest beaches closing at a time when there's a pandemic that spreads through asymptomatic cases and overwhelms our healthcare system? White House economic advisor Stephen Moore said the Americans protesting stay-at-home orders are the modern-day Rosa Parks, ladies and gentlemen. This is the country that we live in. And now they're chanting, "Fire Fauci." Fire Fauci! Fire Fauci! Fire Fauci! Fire Fauci! Fire Fauci! There is no salvation. There is no salvation. When you get to this point, when you cripple all manner of federal agencies, all of our institutions, when you cripple public education, when you advocate for tax cuts and deregulation, and then have to implement austerity measures that end up making sure that these people can't get the proper resources that they desperately need, that they don't even realize they need or take advantage of, this is where we arrive at. The number one nation in the world that does not care about its citizens. Like, we are the number one nation in the world, the wealthiest nation on the planet. And we do not care. We have no regard for our citizens. Like, they're just hogs. They're slaves. Now, think about the amount of money that we're dumping into corporations. And think about the amount of money that we've given to the actual citizens and the workers. 80% of the gains, 80% of the relief that was offered in these past care packages or stimuluses or whatever, stimuli, I guess, were given to people that made over $1 million a year. People who benefit from the stock market, people who have their assets in the stock market. Every other developed nation has the sense to listen to their government. In the UK, we're fining people and taking them to court if they repeat break the lockdown rules. How are Americans so dumb? Because this is rugged individualism. It is American capitalist dogma that has been planted in our thick, dense craniums, okay? It's just rotted our brains from the inside. There is nothing in there. It's just slush. And a part of that is because we've lost all faith in our government. There is no reason to believe your government when your government doesn't believe in you, when your government doesn't care for you, when it doesn't help you. And the more we starve the beast, the more those institutions are in a state of disrepair, the less likely those institutions are going to be to help you. And the less they help you, the more you hate it. And you say, why are my tax dollars going to this? This didn't happen overnight. This has been happening for almost a century in the United States. That's why we hate the government. Let's now look at the organization and the reason why this is happening right now and how the media is covering this shit. Protests at state capitals across the country this week are expressing their deep frustration with the stay-at-home orders that are meant to stem the spread of the novel coronavirus, pushing a message that is rapidly coalescing among the nation's conservatives. That message is reopen the country. But the more sinister, the different part of this equation that I don't really see a lot of coverage on is why these people are out here. Now, there was another movement that was similar to this. It's called astroturfing. Okay? When you get billionaires and corporations to fund these sorts of protests or to fund the protest organizers, the community organizers, and build organization to go out and protest, to find the dupes. Now, all of these people aren't paid. It doesn't work that way, but this is exactly how the Tea Party operated by the Koch brothers. In the state of Michigan, what we know for sure is that dark money groups linked back to Betsy DeVos are currently engaging in these protests. Like, they are responsible for some of these protests. Michigan has been one of the states hit hardest by the virus, with more than 30,000 confirmed cases and over 2,200 deaths. Michigan is the third highest number of deaths out of any state in this country at this moment. State and corporation records showed that there is a nonprofit coalition that also goes by another name, Michigan Trump Republicans, and the group's president, Roseanne Punkowski, identified herself as a homemaker last year in federal campaign finance records. But the group's other directors are longtime GOP insiders, and they include Marianne Sheridan, the state Republican Party's vice chair of the grassroots effort. These people are Tea Party leaders, they're Tea Party organizers, and they are now firmly planted inside of Trump grassroots. And they are trying to, I guess, damage Whitmer, Governor Whitmer of Michigan. And their point, of course, their reason for why they want to do that is so that Governor Whitmer's ratings are lower. Her approval rating is lower because she is slated to be one of the many choices that Joe Biden put out as a vice presidential candidate, and also so that Donald Trump can win over people in Michigan to show them, your Democrats have failed you. People are calling me crime because they lost their jobs and the government stimulus checks are not going to keep people going long. That's the truth, which is why we need to direct our anger and outrage at the correct things. It's understandable to be outraged in America right now, but that outrage should be directed at Steve Mnuchin, who recently said that, $120 a week is going to, it'll keep you going. Keep you going for what, like 10 weeks? Yeah, you got it. You can live for 10 weeks on $1,200. That's where you should be directing your outrage at. These are the people throwing rocks and breadcrumbs at you and saying, live with that, you peasant. But we're too busy getting mad at governors who are like, hey, we should probably ensure that there's safety measures. The analogy in this circumstance is if I like to use the fire department as an analogy because it's like something that people can understand. If there were wildfires going on, and one way to stop wildfires from further spreading, let's say, was to put a special tool in your house, that would ensure that, your house is not gonna catch on fire, and everyone was out here protesting it and refusing to put it on. Now you might think, okay, let those idiots' houses burn down. Let those idiots' houses burn down. They asked for it. Well, one, it doesn't work that way, because when their house burns down, yours burns down as well. Because coronavirus, just like a fire, spreads. So even if they might have the means to extinguish a fire in their own home, or even if they might have the means personally to be able to recover financially from a house burning down, you and your family might not. And of course, as you pointed out as well, Everred, the firefighter dies putting the fire out as well. And the larger the fire gets, the harder it is to put out. That is precisely what we are doing. These people are running around in the midst of like a massive wildfire, burning down blocks after blocks. These people are running around with gasoline and dousing themselves with gasoline, going, this is my goddamn American right. I will do whatever the I want. I will douse myself in gasoline and run into the fire. And then when I'm on fire, I will go into your house. That's what they're doing. So selfish. So stupid. How dare you? How dare you risk the lives of essential workers that are working right now? How dare you risk the lives of millions of fucking nurses and doctors in this country and other staff that work inside of fucking hospitals? How fucking dare you, dude? It's so disgusting to me. Let's see if authorities enforce social distancing orders for mosques during Ramadan like they did with churches during Easter. The president has decided what this pandemic needed more of was Islamophobia. I mean, this is such a dumb concept, dude. Of course, like Muslims should not be able to congregate in mosques during Ramadan. There should be no special carve out for Muslims. If dumbasses who happen to be Muslim want to go out and go to a mosque, like they should not be allowed to. This is so stupid. Mosques are closed already. It's banned in Turkey, okay? The problem here is these dipshits don't understand Islam. Of course, they don't know how fucking Islam works. You have to go to a mosque every Friday, okay? These motherfuckers have already been not allowing people to go to mosques every Friday already. So they're ahead of the curve. Of course, that's also the hilarious part of it is like we protest social distancing and then say authorities won't enforce social distancing during Ramadan. What if Muslims were protesting in a similar capacity right now? What if Muslims were out in the streets going, like, we need to go to mosques. People, Baba, we need to go to mosques with AK-47s, okay? With fully kitted out Muslims. And with their AK-47s were on the street like this with their big beards and their pickup trucks. What would these guys think if that was the case? You think they would be like, wow, these are our allies, brother? What do you think InfoWars would say about that? We are so stupid, and yet we think we're so intelligent. It's remarkable. It is remarkable how dumb we are, but we just believe we're so fucking smart.